3, 2, 1.
All right, let's get back into some more dumb stuff on the 36 GMC. So these are the lights that I'm gonna be using as front turn signals. They have the little glass lens, little cover, small, don't stand out too ridiculous. Basically what I did is I had to tear this apart because this is some old like 6-volt wiring. It looks rough in there, but you can see this little pin. This is just a single filament bulb like that. I think these are 1156 or something. But I wanted to change that wiring out. Well, this is like a, I'm assuming in here, there's some kind of like little nut. I don't know, a little thin piece that holds that in. But these are all loose. And so I needed that out anyway. So what I did is I, on this one, I just drilled that rivet out. I know that's not going to focus, of course. And then I got this piece out. Well, once you get that piece out, there's some old wiring that looks like this. Super rough. Well, it has a little pin on it. But if you see on this, it looks like, who knows, some old masonite or some kind of non-conductive little washer that's in there. So, I stole that off the old wiring, and then I needed new wiring. So what I did is I went and got these. I actually had these for my tail lights, but you can steal that wire. It's got the little end on it, and just take that spring and everything off. And then I ran that little washer up, shrink wrapped some insulation around it, and then put it in here. But it has to bend really sharp because that is like all the way to the back of the housing. So I bent it and then I taped it kind of crudely, but I didn't want that to rub on the back of the housing and obviously cut it short. So now what I have to do is I went and got these little carriage bolts. I need to drill a hole in it because you need to be able to run your wiring through it. Your wiring, these have holes in it. Your wiring dumps out the bottom. Another reason I was fixing this anyway is this side. Someone had tried to get that loose and broke the end off, so it wasn't going to work anyway. Long story, long. I'm going to drill these out. I went and got these little jam nuts. They're a little shorter, so I think that they'll sit flush enough that I can jam that on, have all that tight. Tail lights is a whole nother story. I needed a bunch of plugs like this. I couldn't find them anywhere. For one, I don't know if all this stuff's 6-volt, I'm assuming. So what I did is I went to the store and bought, again, it's a 803 socket. And then you had to drill these out bigger, push those little tabs. None of it looks amazing. I'm waiting on one to put in here. It looks like this in the end. I have the silver is my reverse lights, the upper is my brake and running lights, and then I have this little divider piece that I made. So like I said, none of it's amazing. They're tail lights. I don't know what you guys want here. I got all that to work. I kind of wanted that so that it doesn't totally, when you have it in reverse, which I never will, totally look like brake lights. Again, it doesn't matter. I seriously am never going to use the reverse lights. I don't even know why I made that piece. I should have just bolted this on because it seriously doesn't matter. Trying to get all this to work, it's just been a pain. Again, I think next time I'll just buy some stupid lights or some that are I don't need to modify at all. That's been the big hurdle on this truck, is spending all this time to get exactly what I want. You know, maybe isn't totally worth it, especially since I'm selling it. If I was keeping it, yeah, I would love to make sure everything's exactly how I want. All right, this is what it looks like. I drilled a hole in the bottom of that bolt, or carriage bolt. So you can see that. That little jam nut fits up tight enough that it can sit flat. So now this is all tight. If not, I was gonna have to like kind of wobble it all in there and then tighten up this bottom one. I kind of wanted that because, you know, your cable is providing power, but your housing is providing ground. So I kind of sanded where all these meet the case. That way, hopefully I get a decent ground in there. If not, I'll have to pull it apart. But now I have an amber turn signal bulb. And now I need to put the lens on and the cover. So one down. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't stand out too much. I actually kind of hope it rusts so it matches the grill and everything. But I think I'm gonna make these dumb little brackets so it sits behind the bumper. But there's already some bolts that come out here, so maybe I can kind of tuck it over here, or yeah, probably over here a little bit. That way, if I find some cooler ones, it'll be easy to swap out. Plus, I don't want any holes in the fenders or anywhere. Dumb. I mean, I know that my fender already probably had a stupid one before, but I'm not putting one in there. So I want it to look like no one's touched this truck. So putting stupid lights on it is not my favorite. Even these lights, it's not really my favorite. I don't even know where I got these, so pretty happy I got them, but I don't know if they came with my 38 or if they came with some other parts from swap meet or something, but happy I have those. I just kind of scraped the black off that the black was already flaking off a bunch, so I just kind of scraped the extra off. So all right, let's do this side. All right, and now we have two. So that's how you turn these into turn signals. Hopefully no issues. Just need to make some mounts now. This is the taillight that came with my truck. This has been my big hassle, is trying to save this. Well, this had a different plate on the back of it, and I was trying to keep it, and it gave me all sorts of hassles just dealing with it. So eventually, yesterday, I ended up cutting that plate off. So this will mount more flush. So it kind of simplifies everything. I wish I would have done this a long time ago, but whatever. So now I put these new sockets in the back. So now I actually have pigtails that work. Like you saw, the aluminum just divides it, so the reverse. So whenever you hit the brakes, it's only really the top half that's gonna light up. I got new glass at Carlisle, so I learned not to tighten these too much because I wanted it to sit down a little farther, but now I'm not dealing with that. Once it's tight, is what it is. I'm sure these are not waterproof. You know, there's a little gasket for this bottom, but there's a hole right there, so stuff can get in there. Hopefully this works. I want it to look old, like the truck. So this one's in. Now I gotta work on the other one. The only thing I would say is because I took that plate out, this mounts and kind of pushes on these housings. It's actually kind of nice because what I did is I filed this down to bare metal. That way it gets a nice ground to there. And then the bolts I'm gonna run in here. I'm gonna run those little cutter washers so that it hopefully grounds out nice. So now onto this one. I wish this one looked as old as that one, but it doesn't. I mean, it has an older cover on it, so it looks close, but a little newer. I think this is a reproduction because this one's way cleaner. Crazy hot in the garage, but finishing up this video on the turn signals and the tail lights. Like I said, I didn't want these even on there, but to try to make them look as simple and small and not stand out so ridiculous, they kind of stand out like little bullet lights. That's what the mounts look like. I kind of like shaved all around them so that they match. If you want to take them off, obviously they're just in front of the bumper mount spacers that I had to make. So the wiring just kind of runs around the side. Obviously just one wire running in, and then it's supposed to ground off of the housing. So good luck, we'll see how that goes. I kind of have been working on the wiring underneath, so it's kind of hanging down, looking a little rough right now, but hopefully these don't stand out too much with the fenders and everything on, and you know, maybe they'll rust and end up matching the rest of the look of the truck. So then we go back over here to the tail lights, and finally got all this wiring done for the most part until I hook up the battery and test it. I'm not cloth wrapping all this, but the one thing I don't like is I use these little bullet connectors so that you could unplug all these sockets in the back and change anything out. The same with the front. I wish I just soldered them in, and then if you ever need to fix it, you just had to cut it and solder it. But I did it to kind of make it more handy for other people. So I don't know. They're just not my favorite. Once it's all wrapped, I guess you won't really even notice it or care. But all this we'll tuck up under this little corner. I gotta fix some bolts in there if you're nitpicking my stuff. So here's the lights. New glass lenses on there. It's got backup lights here, and then brake, turn signals in that socket. And then the bumper bracket, if you can see, I drilled and tapped it so that all of these will, all my wiring will sit up underneath there. So exposed a little bit to rocks, but I just don't want anything on top. I don't want to see a bunch of stuff. So this is the best way I came up with for making my wiring not stand out too crazy. The same with over there. I'm gonna wrap all that in cloth wrap once I test everything. But you know, I got a license plate light. I have turn signals, brake lights. I don't want to see a bunch of wiring hanging out underneath the truck. So you are gonna see it coming through this side. And the reason I ran it over here mainly is because there's already holes in these cross members, and it gets a little busy up by that fuel filter up there. So what I did is I came over here and I ran it up and over the this cross member and tied it all in, and that's what it looks like. Pretty excited. I hadn't noticed this broke yet, but that's awesome. Seriously, just noticed that. I hope I didn't do that, but cool. That's broke.